Nestled in Europe's largest petrochemical hub, the Archimedes thermodynamic solar plant in Sicily, it is operated by Enel, which is Italy's largest multinational energy company active in producing electricity and renewable energy around the world. The plant is named Archimedes after the famous local scientist from the 3rd century BC. Legend recounts that Archimedes once drove off Roman ships besieging Syracuse by using the reflective qualities of bronze and copper shields to focus the sun's rays on the enemy vessels. Today, Enel uses similar principles with parabolic mirrors and molten salts derived from fertilizer integrated into a combined cycle gas power plant to produce clean, renewable energy. This is particularly notable because the site has been affected by pollution from oil refining and petroleum processing for the past 7 decades. By naming the plant after Archimedes, Enel links cutting edge technology with local history, presenting the project as both a continuation of tradition and a pioneering step towards alternative energy, symbolizing potential future economic opportunities. In my presentation, I examine how projects like this in Syracuse leverage both the past and the future to create what I call a temporal clean energy heterotopy, an energy space that tends to feel outside of time. At the heart of such a space, like the parabolic mirrors themselves, reflected images of energy past and futures converge, compressing temporal distance. This convergence shows the interaction between infrastructure still tied to hydrocarbons, leftovers over the site industrial past, and new stories, projects, and visions for a clean energy future, often hiding the unresolved tensions in this transition. The World Energy Industrial Hub I'm talking about is one of the largest petrochemical poles in Europe, an enormous conglomeration of pipelines, smokestacks, pumps, silos, and pontoons stretching for nearly 32 kilometers along the Syracuse coastline in Sicily. The pole is still home to 22 companies involved in refining petroleum, transforming oil byproducts, and producing energy. And decades of exposure to pollutants have led to serious contamination affecting air, soil, subsoil, and groundwater, and producing high rates of cancer related deaths in the area. And this is why the environmental justice movement had doubled the whole hub that includes the towns of Augusta, Priolo, Melilli, and Syracuse, the quadrangle of death, evoking dynamics reminiscent of other legendary toxic zones, most notably Camp Riley in Louisiana. Furthermore, over the last decades, there has also been a significant increase in the industrialization in the area, which the number of jobs in the industrial sector decreasing dramatically. And at the same time, we begin to glimpse effort to shift toward energy savings with a widespread use of smart and green rhetorics, piercing production from renewable energy sources, including their most recent articulation in the form of renewable energy community, exemplified by the Archimedes ITS recently founded in Syracuse. It is within this frictional space where the entrenched oil industry and the emerging green technologies intersect and sometimes clash that new forms of collective energy production attempt to take root. These green agendas can only be understood by examining the formation of this long term heteropic energy scape, where traditional oil industry and new energy infrastructures converge and intersect in response to one another. And in my presentation, I briefly trace the formation of this space within the Syracuse petrochemical complex, highlighting how it reflects broader transformation in industrial practices and environmental discourses. The Enel Archimedes power plant abuts the LIPU, the Italian Bird Protection League, natural reserves to the north, the Ionian Sea to the east, and the southern facility of the mega refinery ISAB to the southwest. The structure was modernized in 2000 in conjunction with the liberalization of the Italian electricity market to make it more energy efficient and reduce its CO2 emissions. Plans open to the public is an Enel initiative that gives citizens the chance to visit some of their plants. Visitors can see for themselves how electricity is produced and learn about the environmental standards in place. During one of these visits, we were welcomed with a group of visitors in the power plant conference room, which was converted from the former company canteen. The canteen once served 250 employees, compared to the 70s who now work in the reconverted plant. Two engineers guided the visit. The first is still a young man, hired recently. The second has been working for the company since 1980s, just 2 years after the electricity plant opened in 1978. The first engineer displayed absolute confidence in presenting the company's gentle transition from traditional to renewable energy sources and uses a metaphorical language. He describes the traditional thermoelectric plant that produces steam by burning fuel oil as a father leading his son by the hand, with the child being today's combined cycle plant in which electricity is produced from a mixture of fuel oil, 25%, and methane, 75%, heated in modern gas turbines rather than the old boilers. The child will be able to grow if his father guides and supports him and finances him in some ways. But of course, the future is the son, not the father. With this account, the young engineer explains the relationship between traditional energy solutions and renewable energies. And echoing the text of Enel Commercials, he speaks of the future as a new era in which, thanks to the marvels of thermodynamic solar and the use of parabolic mirrors with fused salts recovered from fertilizers, the company will be able to produce clean energy without any environmental impact. In fact, the combined cycles fueled by gas and methane is supplemented by a vast field of parabolic mirrors patented by the Nobel winner Carlo Rubbia. And here the visitors can really see the tomb of the fuel oil grandfather. This is in the early 1990s, the methane father, and the new generation represented by the thermodynamic solar energy song. The future potential humans will be able to harness thanks to the technological evolution continue to be at the heart of the conversation when the senior engineer with the public start to address a smart energy solution that will now allow us to apply intelligence instead of mechanical force. Before taking us to the field of solar tubes and mirrors, our guides offers us a general overview of the plant. And you have to know that the plant was opening by 2010 with an estimated power production of 5 MW, 5 megawatts. It covers 8 hectares and consists of a field of almost 32,000 square meters of parabolic collectors that concentrate the sunlight on 2 meters of pipes filled with the saline fluid, 60% sodium, 40% potassium nitrate. And one of the most innovative features of this Archimedes facility is the use of salt mixture. And this salt mixture is supposed to substitute the thermic oil. Unlike diathermic oil, indeed, which is highly flammable, prone to chemical degradation above a certain level of degrees, and poses serious environmental risk if liquid, the salt mixture offers a safer, on paper, safer and more sustainable alternative. However, the salts have their own problems. If there is not enough solar radiation, the plant must be emptied to prevent the salt from plugging the tubes by hardening inside them. If this happens, the stored thermal energy can no longer be transformed into electricity. It must be preserved to maintain the salts in a liquid state. Despite the propaganda thus accompanying the launch of the project, with Carlo Rubbia cast as a scientific spokesman and Archimedes, the hero, giving the name to the plant, as a result of these factors, the facility is not currently operational. The promised annual savings and reduction in carbon dioxide emissions were never really achieved, and plan to construct a great innovation in Priolo Gargallo that will make it possible to convert the Sicilian sun into electrical energy is nothing much in terms of economic earnings today. And indeed, as an engineer himself admits, the main purpose of this system is not gain knowledge, is now not energy production, but to gain knowledge about the components and how they operate in order to build the solar plants, Aveniristic solar plants in desert African climate sites in the future. Although the company slogans claim that the new era in alternative energy production has already begun in Sicily, the field of mirrors, names after the ancient scientists from Syracuse, are currently nothing more than sunflowers with their heads facing downwards. The thermodynamic field looks more like a sort of touristic destination designed for passers-by than a production plant for personnel specialized in running and maintaining the system. Large explanatory signs have been put up for educational purposes at key points in the plant: solar field, storage tanks, steam generator, while the reflective power of the huge parabolic mirrors continues to be drawn out by the noise of the refinery plants clearly visible and operating at the southern border of this facility. Now, in Foucault's controversial yet inspiring text, Name of Other Spaces, heterotopias are closely linked to concerns about time and space, notably time space intervals, breaks, accumulations, and transitions. Heterotopias define places that accumulate different spaces as well as diverse temporary spatial formations. According to Foucault, an heterotopia is capable of juxtaposing in a single real place several spaces that are in themselves, at least apparently, incompatible, foreign to one another, such as the bird's natural reserve, in our case, side by side with the energy industry. In Foucault's works, heterotopias have a double function. Either their role is to create a space of illusion that exposes all the sight inside of which human life is partitioned as still more illusory, or vice versa, their role is to create a space that is other, another real space, writes Foucault, is perfect, as meticulous, as well arranged as ours, is messy, ill-constructed, and jumbled. This latter type would be the heterotopia, not of illusion, but of compensation. And considering these two different functions of heterotopy, illusion, and compensation, it is clear that in our case, the natural reserve, the bird's natural reserve, tends to create another purified space without the damage deriving from industrial activities, thus compensating for the effects oil processing has on humans and the environment. The space of the power plant is instead a pure space of illusion, a future oriented space in which, thanks to this combined cycle, we can celebrate today the idea of transition itself from the factory of the past to fuel oil and coal, and from there to methane, and in the future, the salvific race of the Sicilian sun. According to Foucault, heterotopias linked to slices of time. And in this case, heterotopia, when they are connected to slices of time, can also be named heterochrones. If heterotopy means multiple spatialities in a single place, heterochronies define multiple temporalities in one place. And the first significant type of heterochrony is indefinite time accumulation, as for libraries and museums, where the past is collected, stored, organized, and capitalized. Another type of heterotopia for Foucault stands out as quite opposite of the previous one, defining space as temporary structure, fugacious and finite occurrences. And in this regard, I think my argument would be that in this presentation, that energy transition spaces are made up of the combination of the two, of the accumulation of time, slices of selected past, like Archimedes' creations from the ancient past, and fugitive, finite experiences of the future in the making. Like museums and libraries, new energy transition spaces such as the Archimedes solar power plant offer in this way finite and rapid information about a sort of sacralized past and imagined future, which tend to be suspended between good and bad, healthy and unhealthy. But the everydayness of these late industrial energyscapes should not be underestimated, because places such as a prototype of a futuristic thermodynamic solar plant welcome everyday contemplators and users in a common purified experience. Like in a fair or holiday village, they offer the spectacle of a new era in a sort of real life experience. The mirrors are operational, but do not yet serve their specific purpose. They are positioned with their reflected surfaces facing the ground, like some flowers at dusk. What they reflect in is not much the rays of the Sicilian sun as it is the fact that they reflect instead dystopian images of the past and the future. They are used even to resemble the barrels of oil that materialize before the public eyes in the narratives of by Nobel Prize Carlo Rubbia on national television. When he presenting the Archimedes power plant, he says, imagine closing your eyes and reopening them a year later to find a barrel of oil per square meter in the solar field, in this solar field. And in the heterochrony of the power plant, illusion in this case holds as long as we project ourselves into the future with one foot in the past, momentarily closing our eyes and imagine that it is as if we had produced a barrel of fuel oil every year for every cubic meters of land allotted to solar farming, thereby moving step by step closer to the longed for goal of fossil fuel elimination. I mean, in this tract of land dedicated to solar farming in Sicily, the Archimedes parabolic mirrors reflects fantasies of a brighter tomorrow in which the contradictions of energy transition are drained by their political weight and rendered mythological and thus historical. And in this way, they are able to coexist without conflict with all the surrounding, the still oil hydrocarbon production that surround the power plant. In order to participate in this heterotypic or heterochronic space, the public is encouraged to move in one of the two temporal directions, toward the past or toward the future. And the first step is a sort of magic representation of the ancient past, no? That encourage the public to put on a mask, a sort of magical mask, a mouthpiece to swim past the temporal barriers that hinder the resurfacing of the submerged petrochemical world. Put them in distant in time and in order to evoke the way we used to be in the ancient past. And the other way is to let the public wear a sort of magical futuristic glasses that would allow us, the public, to observe the late industrial energy transition as if the imposing petrochemical industries were not right before our eyes. In this sense, ethnography shows how the audience is encouraged to maneuver in this heterotopic space-time through visual and temporal raptures, juxtapositions, and leaps that give the illusion it will be possible to linger, to imagine yourself there, and to touch these changes with your own hands. In the futuristic alternative energy plants of tomorrow, in a sort of game of smoke and mirrors, it is precisely the mirror that allows us to see where we are not. Although this production capacity remains virtual at the moment in this futuristic energy site, the heterotopic space is also absolutely real, connected to everything around it, and open and accessible space for the public for entering energy tools. But I nearly forgot, you must close your eyes, otherwise you won't see anything. Thank you.